All right. Are we live in the studio? Yes, we are. Welcome back, guys. It's Hero Labs Live. RT, your host in the studio at Random Task 555 on Twitter and at Random Task on BitClout. Yeah, that's right. I'm on BitClout. I have a profile, but it's not identical to the one. Now, let me see. If you guys have been around this week, you have probably heard the word BitClout. And, if you've been on Twitter, you've probably seen a whole bunch of opinions about it. There's people who don't really, honestly, a lot of the hate I'm seeing about it is fear. And there are some very valid concerns that people have with it. And I'm here to kind of clear the air a little bit. Later on in the show, we have Alan from Stacked Invest here to talk crypto, really just hang out. He's a buddy of mine. Just hit 5,000 followers on Twitter. And when I saw that, I said, hey, what have you been up to? Get on stream with me. Let's hang out. Let's chat. Very smart guy. Been in the space a long time and has all kinds of alpha to share. I have no doubt. And Stacked Invest, for those who don't know, is about algorithmic trading, and they have some API run indexes and stuff. So it's actually a tool that I've been signed up for a while. I don't use it actively because I am so active as a trader, but I actually do think it could be worth a look for a lot of people in general. So it's not a paid endorsement. It's not anything nefarious. It's really just like always with me. If I see something that I think adds value to your life, I will share it with you. Having said that, back to BitClout. This thing, yeah, FUD There you go, 91 Sun. Chris Richards, killing it. Andrew Little, hey guys. Yeah, some people don't like it. Some people love it. It is polarizing, to say the least. You cannot withdraw your Bitcoin from the platform, and that is right now, as of now. And I can't tell you guys what to do with your money. I never care to. That's not what we're here for. There's a big disclaimer that you just read. This is not an investment advice channel. This is about me talking about things that I think are exciting, that I am personally interested in. And, there's probably a really good conversation here just around the misuse or abuse, rather, of the word shill. That one bugs a lot of people. And I think just like the word scam, it bugs a lot of people because it's so easy to throw shade at somebody. It's so easy to throw shade at something. What's hard to do is your own research and draw your own conclusions. Now, anyone who's looking at this from the outside in will look and they'll say, well, that came out of nowhere. There's no evidence of any team. There's a whole bunch of early buyers in a bonding curve that have a ton of coins that were very cheap. That looks sketchy. And they're right to think that. They are right to just say face value and be like, and then, of course, you check the Bitcoin wallet, which we can do here. I should pull it up. It's on. I don't have it handy. But, it's got, last I checked, over 3,000 Bitcoin in it. That's quite a bit. Now, I have different information. That's why I put the video out. I would never have gone and saw something with those kind of front-facing stats or optics and said, this is really cool, because I know, even though this is not advice, that people watching this show will inevitably make decisions based on things I talk about. I understand that responsibility. And so at least count on me. I would say you can count on me to not just, first of all, ever accept money for things, that are shitty and awful and then talk about them because I got paid. That's ridiculous. I would never do that. But second of all, I wouldn't talk about anything here if I didn't genuinely think that it's exciting. If I didn't, almost always things I talk about, I have some money, like skin in the game. And other people are like, you're just shilling your bags. And I'm like, well, it'd be really fucking weird if I talked to you about something that had good potential and I didn't even have some myself. It's equally concerning. So this whole thing is just funny to me. But I do have quite a bit of insight into what's going on in the back end for BitClout. And, obviously I'm not going to sit here and be like, so-and-so told me such and such, and this is exactly their name and their address, and you should go confirm. I can't do that. That's not how this works. But I will tell you this. I've had conversations with people who are very close to this thing. And all I'll say is that it's almost certainly not just some big random shady scam. Almost certainly. And I always reserve that little inch because I don't know, it's still broken telephone. It's still a few degrees of separation. But again, I wouldn't talk about it. I wouldn't put a video out about it, and I certainly wouldn't put my name on it as an idea, right? Not as like a you must buy. Frankly, if you're not comfortable with something, I would say stay the fuck away from it. But I am here to talk about it today because there's a ton of people who are having a shitload of fun over there, and myself included. And this thing, I've been using it now for a couple of days, messing around, buying up some creator coins, selling creator coins. It's kind of this whole new ecosystem with BitClout being the Bitcoin and creator coins being the altcoins. And there's trading going on, and there's speculation going on, and there's a scramble to get into these things early, because if you start the bonding curve, you get a whole bunch of coins for like a couple bucks. But if if you're like 10th in the gate, you get your one coin for 3,000. So the upside potential is incredible for people who like to take on very risky speculative plays. But then, you also have to be warned, guys. There are a lot of scammers within this thing already, because when you have a flood of excitement and a flood of money coming in and a flood of uncertainty, there's people creating fake accounts that are trying to look like the real ones. That's not new. They get pre-funded with some of the creator coin as part of the way it works. And then when people buy up this fake coin, they just dump it and they're like, haha, I made some money because I pretended to be Pomp. Those things are happening. And that is the nature of new tech, decentralized stuff. So like everything, guys, go in slow. Be skeptical. But don't throw shade at the messenger. Okay. You guys ever spend any time watching this channel beyond like one or two videos, you'll see that, I'm a teacher. Like I literally am a certified teacher. I'm not like coming out of my basement here with like evil plans. I am a certified educator. That's where I start in my life, in my purpose. I want to help people and just share basically everything I've got. I don't really withhold much unless it's like under an NDA or something. And you got to know that about me. So if you've subbed to this channel already, you probably already know that. And if you haven't and you're just stopping by, welcome. It's so nice to see you guys. If you do like what I'm doing here today, you can hit the like and let me know. You can hit me up in the comments and say, I appreciate you, RT. Thanks for sharing things. I don't consider it financial advice. I just appreciate a good, honest opinion. And if you really want to, you can hit the sub if you haven't already. So yeah, let's kick it, guys. Trading Pits here. Good to see you guys. Got some guys in from the community chat over at BitClout. Let's talk a little bit of strategy. Just before Alan comes on today, we're going to talk a few charts. I better get over to screen share. Make sure I'm not doxing myself. Sometimes I don't like set all my tabs properly before the stream. So maybe I'll just close a few spreadsheets and whatnot. Yeah, let's do that. And I think I've got what I need up here. So let's go check it out. Downmaker made a new high today. So that's exciting. Got a good old bag of Dow. Let's start with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is actually what BitClout price is tied to. It trades directly against it. I should say trades. It's a one-way street for now. So be aware of that. But as Bitcoin price fluctuates, so doth the BitClout price. That is why you see it go up and down, even though it's a buy only as of right now. There's some speculation. What happens when withdrawals go live? What happens when it gets on an exchange? Well, I would speculate, all things being equal, that there will be sellers, because they can't sell right now. So when they can, they'll rush to do so to some extent. Some will. That's a guarantee. But what happens if there's a major endorsement before that? What happens if Justin Bieber comes out and says, this is dope, I'm coming in? Will it ever dump from that level? I don't know. So it's not a guarantee either way. I'm excited for the speculative nature of it. But Bitcoin is up at range highs. Little bearish divergence on this little push here, dumped in, and now kind of reclaimed. So it's not looking super weak. It's not looking super strong, just consolidating. I drew up this chart last night thinking, maybe we've got a range carving out here, because on the higher time frames, it is looking tired. And that doesn't mean, market top, bear market incoming. It just means it looks tired. It looks like it needs to recharge. I'll show you guys exactly what I'm looking at here when I say things like that. And that goes for Ethereum as well. So, you've got this. This is concerning, generally speaking. We are making lower highs on the RSI. Internally, the momentum is slowing down a bit as each of these new highs came in. This high right here came in, no real volume to back it up. In fact, we've been trending down in volume since the beginning of January. So, is Bitcoin too expensive for the people who are flooding into the market right now, and altcoins are going to take over and become a flavor? Is Bitcoin dominance after getting rejected here at this little range high going to trend down to the lows? I think so. But the question is, will it break these lows? Because if it does, that's what's going to really set fire to the market in a good way, like fire it up. So keeping an eye on that. There is exhaustion on the higher time frames. And if you look at Ethereum, it's actually, I want to say, a little worse almost, the exhaustion. A complete fall off on buy volume here, and same thing with the indicators. So we'll see. Let's see if I can zoom in. It's not designed for a 4-hour, but what was I looking at? Yeah, I mean, like right here, you can kind of see the volumes all just kind of falling away. That doesn't mean it's going to go down, but it is concerning for me as far as like, ooh, I have some cash. I'm going to go place it into the market here. I feel like I have better times and better options. And frankly, right now, I'm just obsessed with BitClout. Like I've been staring at it all day. So here's my take. It's preloaded with all the things that humans clearly like. Social media, massive. Twitter, massive. These are things that people are addicted to. You get dopamine hits from your likes, your retweets. So I find it ironic, interesting, that people on Twitter are hating on the potential of this. I think most of that hate just comes from the uncertainty, the lack of transparency thus far. But keep in mind, guys, this is a private beta launch. There is no public access. Everyone who gets in is getting in with a password that's being shared that's technically not supposed to be. Although, did they mean to leak that? What did they assume it would leak? Are they happy that it's crashing their site on day one while they're trying to do bugs and patches? I don't know. But for people complaining like, they're scamming, I'd be like, yo, they didn't even have like a message to raise money. It would be a really, really weird scam, albeit thus far quite effective if it was. I am 99.9% certain it is not, based on what I know. You have to decide what you think. And I'd say anyone who's uncomfortable should just stay the fuck away. Let this thing evolve. If it hits an exchange, you get a little bit of comfort. If it gets withdrawals in place, which it will, you get a little bit of comfort. If Justin Bieber comes out and decides, this is legit, and Scooter Braun confirms that he's involved, which is what I have been told, those things might bring you comfort. And then, it's all whatever. So anyways, let's talk alpha. There are insiders involved in this, Naval, Chamath, Katy Perry, those coins were up in the top 4, Elon Musk, before this thing went live. And as much as that annoys certain people, to me, it's a signal. Why was Katy Perry number 4? And if you look on the site, you can actually see, when you click on her, you can see a list of who her top holders are. And I matched some of those addresses with the top holders of Naval and Chamath. So whoever was early on this, and that's like pre-launch early, they loaded up on these two who we speculate are involved in this. Chamath's profile has actually been confirmed on it. Of course, everyone's like, well, that could be fake too. I'm like, okay, whatever. We're getting through that. Over that. But my question is, why Katy Perry? What do they know? Who that loaded up on this on, day 0 also loaded up on her? So I'm speculating that she somehow confirmed in some way. I don't know why she would stand out above, say, The Rock, who is the number one, I think IG rich list, or, whatever other artist. Is she the number one artist in the world? Does she have the most Instagram followers? No. Does she, is there any other reason why she should be the very top other than that somebody close to this project bought the shit out of her coin early because they know something? That's my assumption. So she's my biggest bag. Despite being number 4, I think that's a misnomer. People say, well, number 4, it's already so expensive. If this thing's anything, guys, if this goes out of private beta into public and, gets the endorsements that I expect it will, all of this is probably going to mark up. Let's be real. So I'm not too worried about that. There's been a lot of fun along the way. I've got buddies who've been doing pretty well messing around. But one thing, guys, you got to think, this is so addictive. It takes the dopamine hit that you get from social media, and it multiplies it by the dopamine you get from trading and the money and all that stuff. Tell me that's not going to be sticky, and I'll call you a liar. So I guess people's main concern here should be, is everything I'm saying real? Do I even know what the hell I'm talking about? And I always withhold a small caveat emptor that I could be wrong, because I don't want anyone to do something stupid and then message me in like 3 months and be like, I invested my life savings and you're a jerk. It'll be like, well, that's ridiculous, because you should never do that. That's stupid. I actually, okay, pro tip, and then we're going to get Alan on here. Pro tip, I always write off the entire thing when I buy something that I can't instantly sell, right? So if I get into a trade and I'm long on algo, which I am right now, it's not a massive position, but I pick some up. I don't write that off. That's in my portfolio, and I'm tracking the value each day, and I see it go up and down. And when I wake up in the morning, I check because I'm excited. But if I buy something like BitClout, if I invest in a pre-sale for a coin that does not exist yet, or if I buy something that's locked up, I write it off instantly. I write it down, obviously, that I did it, but I then, I delete its value from my life because it is zero to me. And there's a few things that does for me that helps me a lot. First of all, it instantly realigns my reality with what things I can touch. So, if I look at my portfolio value and I say like, ooh, I have X, I want to go put this in it. Everything in that portfolio better be liquid. I better be able to go and touch it and grab it. Whereas when I go into a pre-sale, I don't know if that other things ever, people like to say pre-sales are lucky, everyone wins. It's like, no, man, sometimes they just never make it to market. There is risk in being early. When you just buy into like a napkin idea, you are taking a bigger risk than somebody who buys into it on an exchange that's already listed and whatever. But when I do those things, I write it off instantly. And there's a few benefits to that. One, like I said, it instantly realigns my reality with what things I can touch. So I treat it as zero right away, which is something you should do mentally anyways. You always assume something could go to zero. So I do that. And then also, it's kind of cool because when it does hit market, if it does come out, sometimes at a multiple, then I get really, you get that boost of like adding it to your portfolio and being like, whoa, right? But if it never does, it doesn't hurt as much. It doesn't sting or bother me as much because I wrote it off months ago. And my portfolio kind of realigned in my mind, and I start just focusing on what I can control, and I continue to trade and manage risk accordingly. So I hope that makes sense, guys. I think that is so important. Fuck off, Andrew Little. I just saw your message there. No, but I think that's so important, guys. Really, if you can't write something off to zero and like lose sleep, you've invested too much. That is investment opinion, I guess, not advice. But seriously, anyways, guys. So I'm excited to kind of keep us up to date on the buzz over here at BitClout. If even one celebrity endorses this, it's going to change, and I expect that they will. We have confirmations that Scooter Braun's involved, and he manages a whole bunch of pretty major ones. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they be interested in this? It's exciting stuff. So it's an asymmetric bet. I could put $500 on this thing and still have incredible potential for upside. I don't need to go and make big stupid decisions that would risk harming me in the future. So that's how I'm playing it. I put in a little more than that percentage wise, but you know what I'm saying. Now, the other thing, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, I saw an article from billboard.com about Katy Perry allegedly being involved in this. And I think, oh, that's not surprising because she's been pumped to number 4 before this thing even launched. Somebody knows something. But the first comment on that tweet said, it was somebody tagging their friend saying, hey, I might go buy Bitcoin now. And that was kind of part of my thesis, was that you are now tapping into a massive fan base. I mean, millions and millions, hundreds of millions of people around the world who, many of whom probably don't have a fucking clue what crypto is or care about it. And now they may be drawn to buy Bitcoin and then use that to buy BitClout. And that is something that maybe some people are sleeping on. So, to add to my Moonboy status, which apparently I already have now, I speculate that if this thing takes off, it could be a major boon for Bitcoin itself. And that's really exciting too. Anything that's good for the space, draws in more people, brings awareness to crypto, helps us grow. And this is kind of like, this is why I think people are so fired up about this thing, because the scope potential of it is staggering. But it doesn't mean that I break my risk rules. It doesn't mean that, that I do anything stupid. I just roll in heavy, rolling heavy. Spent a lot of time on it. I'm excited by it. And that's all I want to say about it. Let's get Alan in here from Stacked. Really excited to have him on to chat today. Hope you guys are enjoying the show so far. If you are, hit the like, let me know. Hit the sub. That's great. Appreciate that kind of stuff. And Eric, Chavs, Peter, love you guys. Tom, appreciate having you guys here. And yeah, what the hell, Tom Simpson? Only 60, but now we're up to 75. If you guys are watching, really appreciate you guys hanging out today. And I'm gonna do more videos on this. I think screw the haters. There's a lot of people out there who want to talk alpha, and this is an entirely new market. So we will be covering this quite a bit and talking about what's the latest buzz and how are things panning out. Couldn't be more excited. So the producer can patch in. Should I switch back to Cam? Yeah.
Hey man, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. It's been a while since we talked. I mean, we worked together for so long, and then I feel like you went off and became a BitClout maxi, and then we just haven't talked a lot lately.
Yeah, I haven't talked to anyone in 3 days. I probably should shave, although this is like my 3-day shadow, so I'm pretty safe. But I've been just buried in my basement. I gotta say, dude, I am borderline BitClout maxi. Like not, but like it's addictive. Like all things aside, price go up, price go down, don't care. I just want to stare at it, and it's fast and cheap. Like it's kind of weird. It's kind of cool. I mean, when you tweet something on it, that's a transaction. When you follow somebody, that's a transaction. It's all, I've never seen it. So I'm fascinated. And, I bought some Katy Perry coin. So maybe I get to go to her concert. I don't know. We'll find out. It's a whole new thing. It's a whole new thing. And it's the first time in a long time in crypto that I've seen a whole new thing, right? A whole different thing. And, from my sources, I think there's some legit people that are very heavily involved in it. So I don't think that it's going to be flash in the pan. Alas, how have you been? What have you been up to? I mean, tell some people about yourself. They're probably like, who's this guy? He's only got 5,000 followers. What's the deal?
Yeah, so I got into crypto early 2017. I was working in enterprise sales at the time, and sort of in that tech scene, Bitcoin, but crypto in general just got talked a lot. And came from a finance background, university, and so it was something that kind of married my two interests: emerging tech with some financial involvement. And so I kind of stepped into it gingerly, like made a few small investments, and I was actually the new all-time high a week or two ago made me go back to Coinbase and look at my first initial purchases. And it's like I'm almost ashamed to like mention this at this point, but my first Bitcoin purchases were not to own Bitcoin. It was to buy various altcoins that I had heard of. And so I was buying Bitcoin with no intention of holding Bitcoin, and immediately moving it to Poloniex at the time, which was like super hot. And
yeah, I remember Polo.
Yeah, exactly. And getting out of Bitcoin. So like obviously I regret that today, and my mindset has shifted a ton, as I'm getting more knowledgeable about the space and kind of move through things. But that was my entry in 2017, and I played 2017 okay. As I think most people that would say that they did, it wasn't what they hoped, right? Like there was a point when a high water level mark was huge, and I would have liked to have had the foresight to.
Well, it was 2018 that we fucked up, right?
Yeah,
I think most people did okay in 2017, and then they fucked it all away in 2018.
And it was pretty quickly too. Right, it was like a couple weeks into 2018. Yeah,
it was a rug. It was the epic rug of 2018 January.
I mean, and it was like, dude, when you look back on it, it was so obvious in hindsight. But everything's obvious in hindsight.
So obvious.
Yeah, I mean,
who was the guy? Oh man, this is a terrible plug, but there was one video, and I got kicked out of a lot of Slack channels for posting this, because I was posting it because I was like, what do you guys think of this? And he was talking about market cycles, and this was new to me at the time, the idea of like bull cycle, bear cycle. And he basically just said like, how are you going to play the pending bear market? And I was like, what? And it was a really good video. Chris something, I don't know, pretty big YouTuber. Anyways, I should give him a shout, and I got kicked out of every friggin' Slack channel that I went into during that, just because I was sharing it, just being like, what do you guys think? And then it was like, get out, you futter. And then it happened. And thanks to that video, I did manage to peel away about 1/3 of what I had there.
Nice.
So, but like, then watch the rest of it drop 95%. But so like these days, you're participating in the market. You're obviously working at Stacked Invest, which we've got under your name, with Joel Birch, Bitcoin Birch. So shout out to him. He's been on the show before. He's a good buddy of mine. He's actually the reason I got this job. So I always have a soft spot in my heart for old Joel, because he introduced me to Rob Levvy and Hxro Labs. But as a trader, like what we're here on the show, we always want to talk about is how can we make money in the market? That's really ultimately, let's be real, we're in it for the tech. We're in it for the life-changing opportunities, and for me also for the friendship, the network. I meet a lot of people, and I just thoroughly enjoy getting to do this every day. So for you, what is your edge? What do you do in the market? Obviously, you've got some exposure. What's your angle?
Yeah, it's something that took me a while to figure out. So I think I went down the path of maybe what most people do, where it's like, okay, this is a market, I have to be a trader. And so that's probably how I spent my first 8 to 9 months was, okay, well, now I need to learn about trading. And that quickly sort of faded in 2018. And I'm glad that it did, because I think 2018 was a time, and maybe 2019 was a time as well, where people maybe learned that it wasn't all what they expected, and they weren't actually cut out to manually trade. And so I'm fortunate in the sense that I figured that out early, and I kind of like took stock, and I'm like, all right, what do I do really well? What are my experiences, or what have my experiences been in the past, and where can I contribute? Because I felt like I was trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, right?
Yeah, which is tempting, right? Because you see on social media, which is where a lot of us start off when we're just trying to think about things and like, oh, what's everyone else doing? And there's a lot of very confident people tweeting out very confident tweets. And a lot of them are posting P&Ls and sexy things. And while the market moves sideways, they made 4x on a leverage trade. And there is a FOMO. There's a sense of, oh, I should be doing that.
Yeah.
But little do you know, for every one of those tweets you see, there's probably about 8 of people who got wrecked on a trade and don't have an account anymore.
And
Sadly.
those are the same people, by the way. So like the ones that are posting their massive wins, I'm not saying everybody is this way, but a lot of them, you aren't going to see the losses. And so I feel like it gives people the wrong impression. And so
I do my best to talk about losses and missed opportunities on here. We've been going pretty good this year, but yeah, if I eat shit, I'll usually begrudgingly share it with everyone just to let you know that I eat shit sometimes for breakfast.
And I feel like people appreciate that, especially
They
more
should.
now
I hope so. Yeah.
than before. I feel like I came out of that time, and I'm like, all right, my strengths are in operations, right? I've been involved in startups in the past. And so this is a space unlike any other where you can build something really meaningful and see traction almost overnight. Right. And crypto like has this funny way of looking like an overnight success, but
When
there's
it's
so much
hot.
that goes into it beforehand. Right. There's like there's so much that leads up to all of a sudden getting your big break. And so the Stack team, we built through 2018, 2019, and into 2020, and we kind of came out with our launch in January of 2020. And we hit pretty good timing. Like I'm glad that we built through all of the crap.
I remember that. I mean, I was on your guys' beta, obviously, having known you guys and trying it out, and it was tough sailing. So I'm pretty impressed when I see Joel tweeting out things like about your total volume, and you guys are really getting up there. For those who don't know, and why is there a black text title on Alan's shirt?
My name tag.
Oh, I don't know. It's probably a name tag. Oh, John, if you zoom in, that's our producer. He might have missed that. There is actually a little word that says title. There you go. Oh, look at that. Snapchat magic. We're out. Thanks for that shout out.
Title revoked.
That was the Illuminati sneaking into our life. For those who are watching and don't know, let's take a look at it and talk a little bit. I mean, you guys just launched V2, which is very coincidental. Had nothing to do with why I invited you on here today. I just saw you on Twitter. I said, let's get in here and chat. Because 95% of your trading now is algorithmic, is it not?
Yeah, I would say if I had to be completely realistic, it's probably 90 to 95%. 95 maybe overselling it a little bit.
Okay. So you get info, you hear about something, you see something, you might make a trade, you might buy something, sell something, but generally speaking, you're parked, you have some algos running, and how are those going for you? Like ultimately algos are extremely hard to do well, and they generally over time people struggle with them, but they are like that creme de la creme, right? It's like, oh, a money printing machine, please, sir.
Yeah, I
So
mean
how is it going for you having actually used it?
Yeah, the money printing machine is the wrong way to think about it, and I feel like so many people get sucked into that. And so, one of the benefits that I have is watching algos over the last 2.5 years.
Mhm.
And so, generally, there's a pretty long evaluation process that I have, and that even Stacked has before anything gets listed live. So, let's say you're an author, right, and you have an algorithm that you want to post.
Yeah.
We first accept that algorithm into our testing ground. There's like a coming soon section on the marketplace that you'll see.
Mhm.
I'm
Let's
actually
go
gonna
look
think
right
about this.
now.
Maybe 60 to 70% never make it out of there, and you'll see it like turns into a graveyard after a while of all the failed algorithms. And that's because we want to test before anything actually ends up going live. So at the top right of your screen there,
Yeah.
you'll see coming. Oh, sorry, left side, but
Oh
coming
yeah,
soon.
are you flipped right now?
Yeah, my
You're
screen.
like
So
alternating.
so go back to the marketplace, the little
Okay.
yep, and
Yeah.
then scroll down a little bit to see all, show all, right side,
Yeah.
right above the SBF basket, and then in that section, you'll see like all stacks at the top. The
Oh yeah.
filters you got there, the blue ones, coming soon is like the graveyard. Sometimes is what we call it. So that's where an algo goes at first. It gets tested over a period of time, and the period of time is different depending on the algo. So sometimes that's 30 days, sometimes that's 30 trades. That's usually like the initial period that we're evaluating algos over, because we
Yeah.
want to see how it works. Um,
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to. It's a marketplace, so technically, it's like buyer beware. But also, it's a shitty marketplace if they don't generally have pretty good quality, right?
Yeah, and I think that's something that we do differently. There's other marketplaces out there. It's not like we're the only one in the space. I think we're the
Yeah,
best one in the space. I think we're the most transparent in the space, but we're not the only ones. And we're the only ones that do significant testing, that you can verify and watch sort of before it ever goes live. And so you'll see like a lot of weird stuff in here, things that never sent a signal, things that absolutely got wrecked, things that have massive swings, and we're watching those over
yeah.
different market periods.
So okay, so somebody asked for the website link. I think just stackedinvest.com.
Yeah, yeah, which we
So
we just redid.
okay.
So check that out, and I'd be curious to
Yeah.
know.
So I mean, just to be clear, guys, like we're friends. I think it's a cool product. Like, this is not like everything that's talked about is always like thought of as like you're sharing it or there's something going on here. This is literally just a website with an offering that I think a lot of people might find interesting. I've used it before. What did I use it on? I used it on the Bedrock trend bot.
Yeah,
And that's,
that's
we should have a conversation about why I suck at algo trading. And that's because I look at charts all the time. I have my own setups. I have my own times when I like to get long or short and how long I hold them. Like, and so what I realized is that even though the back testing on this, maybe we should just go look at it. Where is it? Where would I find that one? I haven't been on here in a
so
while.
Bedrock is going to be under, if you go up higher, so
Yeah.
you want to view all, show all on the right side,
Oh yeah.
and then just Control F at Bedrock. That's one of the
Control
first algorithms.
F.
Say that
What?
again.
Do you say Control F it?
Yeah, yeah, like to search.
Oh. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm such a noob.
That's okay.
Bedrock.
Yeah, but Bedrock
Oh,
is one
this
that we.
isn't. I clicked on the wrong thing.
You're
But
you're in stacks right now.
yeah, trending stacks, strategies, I guess.
Yep, but you need to go to show all first.
Oh damn it. Okay. Okay.
Okay, now
Here, then the strategies.
there we go. Yep.
So stacks are a different thing.
Yep. So it's the
Okay.
second one there, Bedrock.
Oh yeah, Bedrock. So like, yeah. So sorry guys, it took forever to find, but like this is one that I was interested in a while ago, and the back testing on it, it ran for a year at the time. It's 3 years now,
Yeah, so top
and
right of that, you're
how do
looking
we go to
at
all 3 months? Yeah, let's go
yeah.
all time. So like all time, this thing, and I think I was interested in it back here, probably at the top, but like like I did sign up for it here, and it's over time. If I can just cool my tits and sit here and have a small position, I think key for me was if I had smaller positions that I just literally forgot about and like set it and forget it. In theory, I'd be around 900% up in Bitcoin, correct?
Yeah,
I
so it
guess.
depends on what underlying asset that you use, right? It depends on the
Yeah.
exchange too. So you could sit in USDT, you could sit
Yeah.
in Bitcoin, you could sit in Ethereum. Different exchanges have
Oh yeah,
different.
like if I'm on BitMEX, this is like, reflected in Bitcoin or whatever, but if it's
Right, right.
on maybe on Binance futures, not. So like in theory, that sounds really great, right? And that's why, and I tried it out. But what I found was it's a trend bot. So oftentimes, like after things have already started moving up, then it goes long. And so what I did, being such a savvy trader, is I would say, look at it and say, well, that doesn't fit my setup. And I would close the position, sometimes at a quick loss. And then, of course, over the next month, I would watch it trend up and I'd be like, oh, fuck. And then the next time I'd be like, well, I'm definitely not touching it this time. And that would be maybe one or two losers in a row, which
Yeah,
happens.
yeah,
And so this, I struggled with it. I really sucked at this thing. And the golden rule for me, like the takeaway was like, stop touching it. If you're gonna pay for access for something to trade for you, then let it trade for you or don't. Right.
right.
How's been your experience with that? Like maybe over trading the algo or touching it, touching stuff.
Yeah, so
Um,
on this screen, just to point out, like a perfect example of what you're talking about is, and it's a little bit small for me, but on, I think it's March to November, you can see like it kind of just flatlines on the chart there.
oh yeah.
Yeah, and so like if you're a user and you subscribe at the beginning of all of that, you get pretty frustrated, right? Because it's like, all right, I'm paying for a monthly subscription for access to this. I'm seeing really small trades over and over, like,
Yeah.
and then you just kind of churn out of it, and
I
that's
remember this.
understandable.
Yeah, I still get the emails for this. So I do get an email and it always like I'm like, "Oh, interesting. The trend bot just went short or long."
Yep.
And but then yeah, if I signed up here after this nice big winner and
Yeah, you're
decided to
bummed. You're
take the
bummed for like a
plunge
couple months.
and smash it with some, put some big money in it cuz I think it's going to be the next thing and then that's what like 12 trades straight over 4 months. Like that's a long time in crypto, especially maybe when the market was doing well. And then of course, I'm actually break even here if I bought the top, so to speak. But the idea is, I mean, this particular one is more higher time frame, right?
Yeah, I mean, this
So
will take less frequent trades. It's maybe like one
yeah.
or two a month on average. But
Whereas
I
like
mean,
this one sounds like a lot more active. The super scalp.
yeah, and I mean, you can see that this trades
Ding 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 ding
pretty
ding ding
often.
ding ding. But
Yeah,
it's all about trends. So algo trading for some people, and when I said money printer machine, I'm not talking about you guys. I'm not, it sounds like so shilly, but like what I'm talking about is like the holy grail of what like Wall Street wants to discover, right? Like you want to find a quant or somebody who can just program something that will just do something in the market that always makes money over time, even if it's a 0.1%. If it's over time, if it's always making money, like in all market conditions across all assets, like that is that holy grail. So I think there's this like allure for people that just want to take what they know about the market and somehow program it so that they can go to sleep at night and know that there's something doing work for them. But that's a very convoluted space. You either have to design it yourself or you have to pay somebody a lot of money. And then there's always this question that says, well, if something works this well, why would someone ever sell access to it? Because if you have 100 APIs running on the same signal, that means there's 100, maybe one of them's like a whale. Then as soon as this thing says go long, the market like buys up a whole bunch and you're getting diluted, and so is the author. So what would you say to that when somebody says like as an attack,
yeah.
why would an author of a good algo ever share it?
Yeah,
Because
that's a good question. And to the second part of your point, when you asked about, the number of people using it and, buying up the market, it's important to pay attention to the pair that the algo is trading on. So like Bitcoin, that's not as much of an issue as, let's say, if it was like Cardano, right? And so like maturity of the market matters a ton. The other thing that matters is how many exchanges people are spread across. So at the top of that screen there, underneath the title, you see the exchanges that are offered for that algorithm. Users are distributed across those different exchanges, and all those exchanges have different varying levels of resting liquidity. So resting liquidity would be, limit orders that are waiting to be filled. And
okay.
so, one of the interesting things that we just rolled out in V2, which was asked for a ton as we got bigger, was basically a slippage calculator. So slippage would be when the algo says long, what is the price difference between the time that the algo says long and the actual trade is entered on your exchange? Because
Yeah.
there's a couple factors that go into that. One is how much time it takes between the algorithm developer, which is not us in these cases, we're the marketplace, right? So the algorithm author sends us a signal through webhook. That's pretty quick. We get it, we send it to the platform. That's pretty quick as well. Then we take it from the platform, we send it to the exchange via API. So if it wasn't clear, you connect this marketplace to your exchange through an API key. So you maintain complete control of your funds.
So like I set up, just say, I don't know, BitMEX account. And this is what I actually did. I had a BitMEX account, and then I get an API from that, and I connect it to this. So it's still my money, my account.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's
you
sitting
guys
on your exchange.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love the concept. Yeah. So what would you say to like?
Yeah, let me finish that point.
Sorry, yeah, go on.
So it goes to the exchange. That's where a majority of the time actually takes. Is once we send it to the exchange then fills it. You get basically placed into a queue along with everybody else that's trying to trade at the moment, and those orders are filled. So in the past, we've logged the signal price as the entry. And then you would see a bit of a time delay, maybe 15, 30 seconds between the entry and your actual execution. What we did in version 2 was we now use your actual exchange entry as the point of performance. So it makes the performance a lot more accurate, which is good. But to answer your question, because I wanted to address the point of a number of people using it across different exchanges. To the point of an author, it's dependent on the author. Some authors they don't have access to the capital that would be required to quote unquote max it out. So the Bitcoin market is becoming so much more grown up in the sense that liquidity is all over the place, that if you were an author, there's no reason, and we actually require this of the authors, to run your own money on the strategy along with everybody else. And there are authors, and the author has the ability to put a liquidity cap. So like, for instance, Trend King is one of them that has a liquidity cap. It's a pretty popular algorithm in the marketplace. Yeah. No more than $90,000 can be connected to that algorithm. So no matter if you're connecting 150K or 50K, your max is 90
per person.
Per person. Yep.
Yeah, because they don't want like some whale to be like, "Hey, this thing works," and just slap $2 million into it.
Yeah. So
ruin it.
It's something we watch, but it's also something that the authors watch, because it's a careful balance between being oversubscribed and you actually are moving the market, which is very difficult to do these days, especially on liquid pairs like Bitcoin or Ethereum, especially when you have 6-7 exchanges. But for most cases, the authors just don't have enough capital to max out the strategy. So it's not why sell it, it's why not do both. Run it. Why not run it yourself and have
because like they could post it here, not run it themselves on here, but like secretly in the back end, they're obviously devs. They could figure it out. They could run it themselves. But your point
require
is
them to run it on Stacked, actually. So that's a new requirement as of version 2. But then we also acquired Alertatron. So Alertatron is a platform that is more so geared towards authors. So if an author wanted to run something privately themselves, they can do that through like Alertatron. Would be a good option.
Okay, cool. I mean, it sounds like V2's come with a whole bunch. I got a long email describing all the changes the other day, which I thought was like, oh shit, Alan's coming on Friday. That's perfect. We can talk about it. It looks so much cleaner. There's a lot more stuff going on here. Again, I suck with algos because I do spend so much of my own time trading, but I'll tell you what. I mean, okay, so just to clear up your point, I think it's an important point you made. Like $200 a month is Altcoin Psycho. I think he's on Twitter. Actually, he was leading the charge against BitClout the other day, and I saw him kind of like recant a bit. He said, "Look, I may have to eat my words at some point. It just looks terribly sketchy." I was like, "That's fair. That is fair. There's no withdrawals. That is, that's a reasonable assessment." So I appreciate his take on that. However, at $200 a month, somebody can get access to this, and then of course people will say, "Well, why would he sell that?" And you're saying, "Well, why not do both? If he's got an algo that he thinks works and he put time into it, he can use it. That's cool." But if he can get $200 a month times 50 or 100, that's not free money like he worked for, but that's, that might get him through this month where his algo's down 11.5%.
Right. And if that can use that to compound trading stacks or something like that, it's
just more money. It's more money. It's another way to market yourself and your hard time and your work. And if you zoom out to 3 months, this bot is up 89%, 6 months, 213. So these things go through seasons like everything else. And I find it fascinating, like how you test this in a bull market. Does this one work? In a chop zone, does that one work? Like it's all crazy to me.
You almost want to look for an algorithm that's going through a down period, right? So like something we see over the last 2.5 years
Okay.
is right. And an algorithm has a great trade. That's the time that people are going to talk about it, and that's the time that you see a flood of all these new people come in, and then they experience the normal downtrend of the next, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 trades, or it could be as long as 2 months, and they're like, this sucks, and then they leave, and then it has a couple of great trades, and then it gets talked about again. So like if you're evaluating strategy, something that I found in the way that I mean, the reason I even algo trade is because it's better than I am, right? I suck.
Yeah,
So
like
if
if you
I know
can't
that I suck,
outperform the market
yeah,
average or an algo, then why put your money into yourself? Like, and that, I guess that's where I fell off, is that I was starting to have quite a bit of success. I had put a ton of time into my trading, and so I was like, well, fuck it. I like to have control over my stuff. I like to be flat
yeah,
when I go to bed, and I can't stomach 8 losing trades in a row. I just can't, because I do think I can do better. Even though sometimes when push comes to shove after 6 months, I find that I didn't have very good stretch sometimes. I mean, mostly through 2019, I definitely had some bad stretches. But anyways, yeah, like that's a really interesting point you made around maybe buying into bots when high time frame they're doing well, but they just had a bad month or two, and so you're almost like trading bots. You're like, ooh, I'm going to buy low on this bot's equity curve or something. There's like a little different
and
play
look at the
there.
history. So look at the history and see, all right, does this typically have periods of drawdown? And if it does, then you want to look for those periods of drawdown, and maybe that's the time when you want to buy in. And what you're looking at right now is one of the stacks,
Oh, I was
which
going to
is
say, this is not a bot. Yeah, this is Stack.
yeah.
So this is,
So
well, this is the next thing I want to talk about, because this is actually something that I do want to go back and use, because one of my things, and anyone who watches this channel, they'll know this, I often talk about missed opportunities, because like, I just look at charts all day, and I do this and I do that, and I'm working a lot, I'm on calls, I'm doing content, like, that friggin' BitClout video I made the other day, like I spent 5 hours on that thing, not looking at charts. So when I say like, ooh, I'll sell this here and then buy the dip, and then I miss those dips. And
yeah,
one thing I want to do is buy, and I keep telling Joel this, I'm like, I swear one of these days I'm going to connect my Binance like side account I'll make, or sub account, and I'll connect it to the DeFi stack, because then I know no matter what, over time, like I've got my exposure, and it's kind of like rebalancing. Which one is it? The Protos? No.
no, you'll want to go to show all again,
Yeah.
and then go under stacks.
So let's go to the one. Actually, yeah. Oh, that's why. I looked, not the one with like the most DeFi. What was it, like crypto? No, there was.
Well, so there's the DeFi index on your far
Oh,
left. That
even
has a
S,
lot of them.
you have an SBF basket now.
Yeah, we do.
So I see. I'm just manually doing an FBS basket, but I should almost probably just do this. It's seriously. Okay, I'm circling back here to later today. Which one is it again? Sorry.
So top left.
Top left. Okay, DeFi index. So this is a thing where obviously, like over the last year, DeFi's done really well. And I would just say I would put whatever, $1,000 onto Binance, or I guess in this case it is Binance, right?
Yeah. So right now the
Yeah.
stacks only work on Binance.
Okay.
We'll have additional exchange integrations on the spot side soon, but for right now it's just Binance.
Okay, cool. So then I put the 1,000 in, I set this up, and it kind of auto trades me, like market buys me into all of these coins, so that there's a nice 8.33% balance across everything.
And not only that, but when you actually connect your API here, what you'll see in the setup page is that, let's say one of these you feel really strongly about, or one of them you feel really like unstrongly about, right? Like
Like
as
KNC just had a bullish market structure breakout, so I'd like more exposure to
right.
KNC
So
or
there's a little
something.
slider in there that you can drive up the allocation towards that. So by default, it's perfectly divided. It's like 8.33 is what it comes out to.
Yeah.
However, maybe for you, you really like Aave, and so for Aave, you want that to be 20% no matter what. And maybe YFI you think is trash, and you drag that down to 0%. So you can customize it a little bit.
Okay. That was
And
my other question. Yeah, because I do, again, I like to I like to overtrade and control things, but as a trader, then maybe I could even work through this. I mean, I'm serious, guys. Like, this is not a show. Like
well, and these are
I've
free.
been talking about signing up for this. So this is free.
Yeah, these are free.
Okay, dope.
Yep.
So I mean, this is my thing. So as a trader, as somebody who's like in the market getting exposure, I actually do like the idea of having sort of like a back end index that just auto rebalances in something like DeFi. And then maybe I see like Kava just 5x'd on a listing announcement, and I might go slide the percentage down. So essentially selling my kava out of this index. And then when it like bottoms, I might come back in and slide that back up when I see reversals. Like I've
Yeah, you could.
always
I mean,
told
that's like
myself I want to do that. That's probably overthinking it, but
it's a
I
more
like,
active approach. I mean, the
yeah.
sort of the thought process and why we even created this was, going off of the traditional market structure. Like the index fund is probably the thing that is most accredited to, or where your success or the market success is most drawn back to, is like the invention of the index fund. And
Hmm.
so the thought was is like, well, why isn't this offered in crypto? If it's so innovative and it's so successful, why don't we have this in crypto? Like,
Yeah.
why is crypto the asset space where everyone has to be a trader? And so that's what we wanted to do, was make this free so that anyone can use it, and it rebalances. And so when you actually connect your API and you go in there, what you'll see is a historical performance, whether you buy and hold the assets, whether you rebalance it weekly, monthly, or quarterly, and it will show you how that would have performed in the past. So you can make
You can do a
decisions on,
lot
all
of
right,
back testing
yeah,
almost
do
with,
I want this to rebalance or do I want to hold? And all of your performance you can also track against Bitcoin. So you can go in there and say, all right, DeFi sounds really cool to me. I want to rebalance it weekly. Would I have outperformed just holding Bitcoin over the last 3 months? Yes or no?
yeah.
And make decisions based on that.
Dude, I gotta be honest. I did not look at V2 yet since you launched it on Monday. This is dope as fuck. I mean,
Thanks.
it's for free. What's being sold here? Like, like somebody's like, you're selling. This is free. So I am gonna go set up a little Binance sub account because I'll be honest too. Like I have a cash balance on my Binance account that I often just am like sitting in, and the one thing is obviously I'm a trader. I want to time it. I'd love to start my journey on the DeFi index, API when it's like in the dumps so that I
Yeah.
can feel pretty good about it. Like, but maybe I need to just chill out, stop overthinking it if I'm planning to ignore it for a year,
Why not both?
or
Why
maybe
not
half and
have,
half. Yeah,
yeah,
start it up and
exactly.
then yeah.
And that's what I do.
So I could send like just say okay. So just say I'm thinking out loud here. I send $1,000 to my Binance sub account. I
Mhm.
click this DeFi API. It spreads out my coins. It's now auto rebalancing, say every 2 weeks. If I send $500 more to that account, is it just automatically on the next rebalance just going to get distributed into it?
Today it's not, but we are building that out. So that was something that we didn't exactly foresee people doing. We thought that they would take a portion of their Bitcoin. Let's say they have one Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
And they want to take point 0.1 of that and move that into Binance. They would move it and not touch it. But what we found when people actually started using it, and maybe we missed it, but people contribute to it and then they wonder why it doesn't get added in. And so that's something we need to add. But I saw a
Yeah, because I
question.
would assume it would get read as part of the balance and then get redistributed.
It doesn't today, but it
Okay.
should.
So
It
then
should.
how would I send more funds to it and make sure that they get included? Do I just have to auto buy like
Yeah,
one of
so
the coins?
when you actually connect your exchange, what you'll see is a much more detailed screen than this when you go into the setup,
Yeah.
and it'll say in the top right, it says,
I'm actually stopping the setup like so I don't click it because I'm scared it'll just pull up a bunch of my personal information. I don't actually know what'll come
no,
up.
no, that's fine. You don't have to do it now.
Yeah, okay.
But when you do, there will be an option. It says like Bitcoin to invest, and that's where you would enter that number. So let's say you have a Bitcoin on Binance and you only want to use 10% of that, you would enter point 0.1 in there.
Oh, dope. So I could actually do this on my main account without
You could.
screwing up the
Yep.
rest of my account. For
Yep.
those who don't have VIP status one, which takes, a certain amount of BNB and trade volume. Okay, cool. That's good to
I
know.
saw a question
Yeah.
in the chat. Kevin Weiner, rough last name. Sorry about that. He asked, "Do you have Binance US?" Today we don't. Today it's only Binance traditional Binance.com.
Okay.
But Binance US is in the process of working on their API. So Binance US does not have an API with a broker program. So I talk to Binance US fairly often, maybe once a month. I know it's on their roadmap. What's more likely to come first is FTX US. The API is finished there, so it's just a matter of work on our end.
All right. Very cool. That's a good question, Kevin, because I know a lot of the US is not allowed on Binance. So, okay. So, I mean, I feel like we've looked at this quite a bit. We've had, Strategizer. I think the analytics tools are what excite me because I'm a big data nerd, and tracking your own data and collecting your own data is time consuming. And frankly, at this exact moment, I don't have a great tool for that. I think Edgewonk is coming out at some point with like a web version that I'm waiting for, that I'll get back into that a little more robust tracking. But
Okay.
I'm going to come and mess around on here. I have I have a Sam basket that I kind of just self-made. I was like, I just want to have whatever he's got.
Right.
But full disclosure, I actually sold a huge position in Solana.
Hey, don't flood my bags.
Yeah, I say huge position. I should say like relative to my portfolio. Like I sold most of my Solana to buy BitClout because I thought in the short term it might outperform, and I want to get my Solana back. I don't know why I'm sharing that story,
So
but
you touched on something there. You alluded to Strategizer, which we haven't talked about anywhere yet, and it's not done yet. So like right there, you see
ooh,
nothing. But the intention here, and I don't want to say too much, but the intention here is that, okay, if I run a part of my portfolio on a stack, on an index, and I run part of my portfolio on an algorithm, what about the manual trading portion of my day-to-day life, which is probably something you care about?
yeah.
So if you're able to connect all of your exchanges to Stacked, it would make sense why you might want to be able to take action on any one of your exchanges through the Stack dashboard at any time from a manual standpoint. So,
So I could trade directly from here. Is that
well,
what you're just
who
hinting
knows
at?
who knows what will be coming out in the coming weeks?
Oh,
Who knows,
March.
really?
Okay.
But the intention here is to give you a place where you can manage your sort of crypto journey. There's M1 Finance, there's Wealthfront. Those are both US based, so I don't know if that's something that you've heard of, but
I
it,
have
it
it.
makes it makes traditional finance easy, and that's what we want to do for crypto. That's where we're going long term. We started as an algo marketplace. We found success there. We added indexes. We think that that's super useful. We made that free for everybody.
I like that they're free. Yeah. I mean, that always turns me on as far as trying something without feeling like I have to know what I'm going to get first.
Yeah, and where we're going next is, okay, what does my investment journey look like? I bought Bitcoin, now what? That's where we're going.
Oh, dope. Okay. So you're opening up the scope maybe to really be more inclusive of guys like me who might just want data analytics for their manual trading.
Yep. And there may or may not be ton of analysis on every single one of supported pairs actually live in the dashboard. Who knows? That may come.
Okay.
And so, if
I
you're
feel
somebody
like
that's
there's some hints going on here.
it might be a hint.
We're going to flip back to the screens here, John. Yeah. So, okay. Well, I want to try it. I definitely want to get my index going again, because every time I talk to you or Joel, I'm like, fuck, I still didn't do that during the big DeFi dip through the winter. And, I don't think it's too late. We talk about this all the time. Long term, where's DeFi headed? I feel like I can get some upside out of it, but I suck at paying attention. I've got 5 screens, 3 jobs, 10,000 DMs, like, working on all these things. And then I look back and I'm like, oh, that DeFi coin I was just watching 3x. But I would love to, like, in the back of my head, just be like, but my index, has a little bit of that or something.
Yeah.
So
It
that's,
takes some of the stress off or the pressure,
yeah,
feeling like you have to know
yeah.
everything about everything. That's not normal.
That's
I
why
mean,
I'm attracted to it.
yeah,
It's like, you got to have an exchange account, set up an API. So like, it's easy once you're in, for like, say a no coiner friend of mine, like there's a bit of an onboarding process, but, I love what you
definitely.
guys are doing.
Yeah.
I love what you guys are doing. And if you're going to do data analytics for like just my manual trading and it's free, then I want to use it. Even if it's not, I'll pay a fee if something is good. I just will, because at the end of the day, I'm here, we're here, most people here to make money. And if I find a tool that helps me do that and I got to pay a fee to get it, then
I think you're gonna be
I'm going to be interested.
happy, because I can say
Sweet.
that it won't have a fee.
Beautiful. All right. Well, hey man, I appreciate you coming on today, guys. There's been a lot of good requests for charts in the chat, and I see our viewership's actually ticked up. That must be the top of the hour. Sometimes we tick up at 4. So what are you guys watching at 3 to 4? We'll find out. But you know what? I'm going to call it here for you, Alan, as I get back into the charts and stuff. I don't want to seem like rude where I'm just like talking about Bitcoin and weird stuff. I mean, you're welcome to stick around and play commentary with me, but I figure you got some time, things to do with your time. But what do you think?
I would love to look at Bitcoin with you.
Okay, hell yeah. All right, well, let's get into the shares. I'm not kicking you off. I just want to let you know that we are now pivoting to pure market grind.
Yep.
We've got some good requests here. A couple guys on Twitter.
As you're pulling up the Bitcoin chart, I'm curious what you think. There's a podcast that I recently got turned on to. I believe it's like Onto the Brink or something like that. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but they kind of look at more of the institutional side of the market.
Yeah.
And they had somebody on from NYDIG, and NYDIG is institutional platform to bring on large institutions. And he alluded to the idea that this coming week there were going to be some announcements, and we saw maybe some of that in the form of Morgan Stanley taking a potential swipe at a South Korean exchange. So I'm curious how you feel about Bitcoin maybe trending into the institutional market. What do you think it's
Well,
going to be a big week?
I mean, I'll tell you what, it is very expensive right now for people coming in to look at Bitcoin and say that's an attractive investment. I think long term, global, market, I think it's got a ton of upside potential left. But I get that we're getting into that place now where somebody who's joining crypto is much more attracted to altcoins. And they're also happen to be going up, which helps. So as an investment, as an institution, I think it still looks relatively cheap. If you got to ask who's buying and why. And I think institutions are buying to hedge against inflation and the US dollar, which has done nothing but go down over the last 100 years. And so this is becoming a much more attractive and viable option for them as far as spreading out their risk. And in that sense, 60K, 80K, 20K, none of that matters. It's like, let's just put a percentage of our existence into this because it will, hedge against some of the other shit we have. So in that sense, yeah, I think there's a ton of upside left. Always the question of when, how long, waiting. If I buy at 60, there's a chance I might have to wait for whatever. Like people that bought Bitcoin at 20K and the top in 2017, can you say like it was terrible timing locally, but they're up 3x right now, if they had the patience. So I think longer term, I see much, much juicier highs for Bitcoin. This exact minute, I am much more attracted to other things. There's so many new things. I mean, there's just so many new things. And at the end of the day, like altcoins, lower caps, new ideas, I much prefer to play those. I don't speculate too much on Bitcoin, like on a leverage kind of thing. So, but for those of you who don't know, Alan has a lot of good info. I gotta say, one of the things we sneaking up in my DMs, always talking about the buzz. Over the past couple of years, you gave me some really hot tips and ideas. So if you tell me there's a little buzz around institutions and something coming up around Bitcoin, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked to see that and maybe have some story that drives us to the next high. Because like I said at the top of the show, the weekly does look like it's getting exhausted, right? The RSI has been rolling over for the last couple of highs. The volume has been falling off for like a month and a half. And that just, when you see that, and we'll just look here, when you see just say like this on Ethereum, Ethereum price going up, but the buying volume, meaning the amount of people who are doing business up here, is going down. And generally speaking, that speaks to a lack of interest from buyers at a certain price level. And that's just a fact. That doesn't mean it's going down or up, but like, the RSI right here rolling over. I mean, we came out of overbought even as all-time highs came in. Like that's weird. And so that's just, to me, that's like pump the brakes a little bit on that. But look, we're trading above the 20-day SMA now. And this is the other thing. Keep in mind, guys, like if this breaks out here on volume, like, okay, break out on volume. And now we just keep going. Like there's no rule that says because volume's trending down here that it's the top. But my point is, I get a little less excited. Maybe I shift a little more cash into my account. We've come a long way. I take that cash and I disperse it into either assets that are low in their pattern that are showing signs of growing volume and breakouts, right? Tons of options in that sense, or whatever. So I don't know. I always feel like adding disclaimers because people hear something I say and they say, this guy's a bear. He's calling tops. And it's like, no, I just find, I think there's more exciting things But like this looks good from this exact perspective because of this SMA, which is actually supposed to be a weekly. Now, I'll tell you what, the golden goose entry during a bull market is the 20-week SMA. It's just the best thing ever. And for those of you who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, let's go look at a better chart than this. Let's go look at the Bitstamp, has a little more history. Like look at 2017. Every time the major FUD hit, we ended up tapping the 20-week SMA. And was that a decent entry through the bull market? I mean, it absolutely smacked. Anyone who bought the 20-week SMA during the 2017 bull market ended up getting the best entry out of everyone, except for this one dip through, which at the time probably looked gross because it was like a long weekly that was still open. But it closed back above and then chilled for a few weeks while everyone got scared, and then it just went crazy. So when I look at this, you know, I don't know when it's going to touch. They guaranteed will touch at some point because this is always creeping up behind it. So if it stays still long enough, it'll touch. And so, yeah, I don't know when that'll happen or at what price, but I'll tell you what, I won't have much cash left when it comes in. I will be very short on cash after the day that Bitcoin touches this 20-week SMA. Unless, you know, like I don't want to make bold predictions. Like unless something changes between now and then, I will be gauging interest. But usually the crazy thing though is usually that stuff happens during like bad news when it's like very hard. You know, like let's go look at 2017. That was March. It's before I joined.
China banned Bitcoin.
Yeah, this was the
India banned
Bitcoin Cash fork, right? The news was like miners might abandon the Bitcoin chain and we'll never have Bitcoin and it'll just go to zero. So like that was a scary time for me as a newer enthusiast to get in. This was China banning Bitcoin, and that was also quite scary. I recall it was September 4th. And then, you know, BNB dropped 80% through this. So like, yeah, anyways, I don't know why that's important, but just things that I know that I like to say when I think of them. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. What is the thing that will touch, you know, get us to touch this? Or is this just going to sneak up and touch that? Or is it ever going to touch? Oh, no, but it will. And when it does, that's probably my next best entry. So let's look at some charts. You guys are listening to me talk long enough. OXT is the first one we're going to do because someone just mentioned it. So it's fresh in my mind and I have a chart on it and it looks hot. Oh, sorry. I lied. I was thinking about ONX, but we will look at OXT. I have an old free bag of this. I do not have an active trade position on ONX, but I did notice something today. Look at this thing. Now, this is actually one that Joel told me about, old Bitcoin Birch, who's one of the founders of Stack. So it's kind of suitable, but down here in the dumps, he said, my play through this little cycle is going to be ONX. And because of that, I picked some up. You know, we talked about this on the show here. So it had a good run. I sold a little through this. I just held some free position, but look at this down into the reload zone. Can I get some bullish divergence? Let's see. I bet I can. I don't even check on here sometimes because it's all messed up and it doesn't give me my templates. But yeah, I mean, you've got all the makings here. See, the MACD was rolling positive even as price was coming in and making newer lows. And it is now flipped positive, confirming the bullish divergence on a breakout, new volume coming in. I think this is a really interesting spot to be hunting dips on ONX. And it's a DeFi thing, and I don't know anything else about it. So don't shoot the messenger. But it looks cool. So let's do a little rapid fire here, Alan. We're going to go through some requests. Before the show, Seller was on there. And I never know when people ask about these coins, if they're asking about the Bitcoin pair or not. So if you are here, Mr. Requester, please let me know. But otherwise, I think, I don't know, I kind of like just charting in USD terms. So I guess we'll go default USD. And, you know, because when people say I want to make some money, well, for now, money is still USD in most cases. So that's
I'm actually curious on that. Do you notate your portfolio in Bitcoin or in USD?
USD. Yeah, okay. USD for me. I made the pivot. At one point it was Bitcoin.
How long has it been that way?
Yeah.
That wasn't 2017.
Exactly. So there's all like this sexiness around stacking sats. And if you're diehard long-term and you have good cash flow and you can afford to like ride swings on Bitcoin, then yeah, stack your sats because you believe in the 10-year future. But I want to pull money out to my bank. I want to be flush. I want to be capitalized. And to do that, I have to protect my USD balance. And so focusing entirely on that has helped me a lot. Now I still make Bitcoin pair trades But generally speaking, I just live in USD world, and I don't know, find it easier. I bet this thing is kind of up in the 887. Let's go take a look at this chaos. Oh, it's not even up. Like, that's a huge range. So it's coming into chaos levels. Let's see. So it blasted through, retested. So it's resolving a 4669. Let's see if we can get some confluence. Not really. Make it fit. Anyways, there's so seller's been doing great. Here's the interesting thing: rising volume. So like those other charts we looked at, guys, we don't see the fall off in volume at all. In fact, MACD is still making higher highs. The RSI is still making higher highs. The most recent high came on the highest volume, and that rarely marks the high, like the top. So for those, who are wondering, this is not a buy zone for me, as you guys know, but I doubt that's the top on seller. That looks like it has more in the tank. There's still a lot of buyers taking interest in it up at these levels. So generally, when you want to see a top on something, and we've talked about this before, you want to see like the most recent high come in on like less volume. And then you're like, okay, shit, that's a warning sign that up around here, there's less interest from buyers, and maybe even a big sell comes in, and you're like, oh, fuck, some whale just put the top in. So keep that in mind when you guys are trying to think about what part of like a cycle you're in. For now, this thing looks great. I suck. And I forgot the other coin you requested pre-stream. Somebody made a comment, and I said, yep. So let's see. What did he ask? Oh, shit. I don't know where the tweet was, dude. Sorry. Just going to make a big point about making sure to get to your requests today. Maybe you asked me on my personal account. I forget. Sorry, dude. So if you're watching, please give me a shout and let me know what other coin on top of seller. Otherwise, we're going to go to a few others. Now, at the top of the show, somebody started the chat with AST and KNC. Fabio, I'm here for you. Let's check out those two. Now, AST, I think, mostly only trades against Bitcoin. I don't know. There's something right now that's really sexy about trading against Bitcoin because the charts look so good. Bitcoin, like I said, the momentum slowing, volume kind of falling off. And that is the ticket to me for this, which would be what I've been waiting for a while, which is the breakdown on Bitcoin dominance. If we break this level on Bitcoin dominance, alts are going to go absolutely fucking insane against Bitcoin. And my peak alt season objective is still 50%. And that's just the beginning of like objective. We could slide even deeper, but I mean, 50%, it sounds small. It's like 61 to 50, but that's alt season, like another one. We kind of already had one, so I don't know.
Is that when you start hearing about the flippening?
That's it. That's when you start thinking about flippening, man. Like, look here. This is another chart we should be thinking about. It doesn't look great right this minute, unfortunately. It did look great. Now it's like it's in this weird zone where like down a little looks terrible and up a little looks super bullish. So that's consolidation. That is the nature of it. But this is sort of my weekly view of Ethereum, Bitcoin. And you're gonna want to see strength in this before I go full bore. But here's the really trippy thing: there's this assumption that I operate under, which is that Ethereum BTC has to be performing well for alts to do well versus Bitcoin, and that's a pretty good bet because it's pretty much historically accurate all across the board. But what if there was a new paradigm where Ethereum just became another, like, it's a great altcoin, it's the king of the altcoins. But what if they broke away from that pattern? How long would it take me to readjust my assumptions? And can algo, for example, break out of here? There was a nice bid that came in on the weekend. This is probably my favorite altcoin Bitcoin chart right now. It's one of the few trades I'm in. And can this thing break away and go crazy while Ethereum, either drops a bit or chills in this zone or whatever? And I think it can. I think we can see some alts do really well, even if Ethereum just decides to stay heavy and be boring. What are your thoughts on that? Like paradigm shifts?
I think Ethereum has a super solid bull case, and at the same time, it has a super solid bear case. And so, like, I feel undecided about it. So something I wrote a little bit about on Twitter was my exit from Ethereum 2 weeks ago. Or no, must have been 3 weeks ago.
You switched to Solana, didn't you?
A portion of it. So during the entirety of last year, I owned more dollar value in Ethereum than Bitcoin. And my thesis on that was, if we're going to have a bull market, ETH will outperform. I believe ETH did outperform Bitcoin last year in 2020. However, what changed for me, and I guess my bull thesis going forward, if I had to present one, would be strictly based on fundamentals of the proposals that have been put out. So two things there for in my mind. One is the burning of Ethereum based
Yeah.
on transactions. That to me is super bullish because it needs to outperform its inflation curve. So that to me is super important. The other part that is part of that bull case is some sort of like layer two, which I am friends with a Coinbase developer now, but worked on Ethereum for quite some time, pays really close attention, and he is super hot on layer two options for Ethereum. So those are the bull cases. In my mind, the bear case is that it's super unusable in my opinion. Like I'm somebody that missed DeFi summer, and so I'm catching up on that. I started playing around, and
Yeah.
I don't have small size compared to the average person. Yet I cannot stomach $150 for a transaction. It just seems dumb to me. And so that's why I
Yeah,
was
it is.
undecided.
The
And I'm
cost
like,
of
I'm
doing
not going to
business
own
is
something.
high.
I'm not going to own something that I'm unsure of, and so that's what caused me to exit. Though I think I'm going to be wrong because
Yeah.
I don't think people care.
Well, they'll
I don't
fix
think
it.
people care that it's unusable.
Well, I don't think a certain group of people care. There's somebody who I paid last week $70. Do you think I want to send it to them in USDT on ERC20? Like, there's a $30 transaction. So they asked me to send it to them, oddly enough, on TRX. It's a free transaction. They said, can you please send it to my, like, whatever, address? And yeah, and that was interesting to me. I think this individual is from Southeast Asia. And so I thought, okay, that's interesting for perspective that they don't use Ethereum, this particular person. They don't use it because the fees are like a month's groceries for like a fee.
And
Right.
now,
And I always say, if you're not trading a 10K stack, like a 10K transaction, $50 fee, gets pretty expensive.
like you talked about USDT, you have the option to send that on Solana. So
Yeah.
that's
And
an
well,
option. Same with
and
USDT.
and I think I sent it on the Tron thing too. I think it's on there. Like when you at FTX, you go to withdraw
Hmm.
USDT, and it's like basically you can put in like one of 4 addresses, and it'll just auto detect. And then, so like I'll send it on the one with less fees. So I agree with you in that practical sense. And I think the market is pretty much with you on that. They're indecisive right now. They don't know what the fuck to think about Ethereum, because as each new option emerges and as each new network grows, the case for Ethereum being as high, perhaps relative to the market, the dominance, it dwindles. But then you get EIP 1559, you get the ETH burning potential, you get the fact that it still has the biggest network and most DeFi and most TVL and all that by far. And then it's like, ooh, I'm a bull, I'm a bear, I'm a bull. So yeah, I think we are in a very indecisive time with Ethereum. And as a trader, I don't love that, because I like when I think I know what's going on. And for a little while, it was like, hey, big bullish breakout on ETH. I can just confidently be super long on ETH this year, and I'll just be great. I'll be in the best horse, the fastest horse. And I'm not so sure about that anymore. In fact, that's why I took on the positions I did in Solana and some other SAM tokens and whatever else. So it's an interesting conversation. I think it's important to keep an open mind. I think it's important to be kind of quick on your feet and be ready to, not be too maxy about anything. Because it is very much blockchain 2.0, I'd say. Maybe 1.0 was like up until now. And then with the emergence of DeFi and some of these other platforms, we're getting into these other paradigms within a new paradigm. And I don't want to get caught holding on to old assumptions. So,
Well,
yeah,
if you remember, in 2017, ETH really didn't get its run until after the Bitcoin drop.
the
And
all-time
so,
high.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so like in my mind, as I sold out of Ethereum, I think I'll be wrong. I'm like in that unfortunate IQ curve where I'm right in the middle at like a solid 90. And you either have to be super low on that. For 50 IQ, you buy ETH because it's an altcoin and it's going to outperform, or you are on the other end of that range, you're 120 IQ, 200 IQ, and you know that, everything's going to get approved and the inflation curve is going to be handled. The problem is I'm in that middle point where it's like, why would I want to own this? This is unusable. I think I'm going to be wrong. And I think Ethereum's going to pop up to the top of that channel.
Yeah, no, I think it'll have a run. I really do too. And it'll probably start that run when I've lost all faith in it, as is the nature of it. I mean, look at this. I'll never forget this date. It was December 7th, the absolute bottom. This is a weekly, so it shows us the 4th. But this was 2017 when everyone's like, oh, it was so easy to be successful. Look at what Ethereum did for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 weeks. That's 3 months where anyone holding altcoins in Ethereum got absolutely decimated in their Bitcoin denomination. And that's because this is when Bitcoin was like plowing ahead to 20K. You were an idiot if you weren't a Bitcoin maxi during that. And it was very, very hard to stick to your guns. And of course, when a lot of people through this consolidation, they were very fearful and they said, oh, I can't take any more. If this thing dumps again, I'm out. And then it had a final capitulation wick. And, it doesn't even look like much volume here because of what came after. But it was that marked the exact bottom. And then it had the insano rally where Ethereum ended up running to like $1,400 that year and alts went 20x, 100x. So yeah, no, I'm with you. I think it'll come, and I think it'll come when I least suspect it. And I'm interested to see what this channel bottom looks like in a week or two. But zooming in, and we're going to get back to the OXT in a sec. Somebody requested ETH BTC. This is what I've been watching on the 4-hour, and it actually looks pretty good. Not today, but like, so you have the big breakout in ETH earlier this year versus Bitcoin. Yay, it's going to be alt season. And then you're like, well, probably going to have to retest and pull back. And I thought we did right here. I was like, oh, that was sweet. And then it zipped back up. But I was like, oh my God, we're going to moon so fucking hard. And we didn't. And it's just been a big, shitty, February for Ethereum, again, relative to Bitcoin. But here we are down at the RLZ. We're tapping the sweet spot, which is an area that I generally start to get interested in assets again. And then we come in, bullish divergence here, which you can see if I click it up. There was a bullish confirm at the location. And then we get a breakout here with some nice volume. So I was like, okay, maybe we're turning the corner here on the lower time frames for Ethereum. That's what I want to see, on the weekly. Okay, cool. But I zoom in to find out what's coming ahead of the weekly confirmations. And then we dipped right into where I considered is the buy zone after this breakout. Again, I don't trade this pair, but I watch it closely. And then we broke out again. And now we've just kind of dripped in here. So it is literally what you said. It's like, it's just such an indecisive asset. Nobody knows how to value this thing now, given all the moving parts of the market and the new things that are emerging. And then, there's uncertainty around EIP 1559 and miners and people protesting and, what's going to happen. I don't know. But I think you're right. I think you're indecisive right now is bang on. And then I think we're probably like, it is going to do fine. It's probably not going to just do fine. It's probably going to go fucking crazy because at some point they will fix a lot of the things that are wrong with it. And I don't think that'll solve the whole problem. It'll be like, I like to always compare it to like BitMEX when they had the first perp on Bitcoin and then they had overload issues and they fixed their servers. And then they were like, yay, no more overload. And then they added the ETH perp and they had overload issues again. And so we may see a case where, ETH2 and all these upgrades, and then eventually it just gets saturated again. So there's definitely room for an ecosystem, and we're seeing that emerge this year, which is exciting. OXT does look good. It's not, again, I suck at trading like these moments. If I'm holding a bag right now, I'm sitting here eating popcorn like, fuck yeah, I'm in. I suck at like going to buy this, obviously, because it is at, it's just not at an entry. I'm a chintzy trader. I want to buy things before people tell me that they look really good. I want to buy things when people tell me they're looking like shit, if they're actually secretly looking good. Like right here, look at that tag. Like that's the 618. I probably wouldn't have bought that. I'm more of a 702 guy, but you can see these RLZs, guys. I put out a video last night. No, sorry. God, that's a lie. Last week on RLZs. And this is, so you get your big rally. Okay, cool. I'll get interested in down here. So if I was going to trade this, it's that pullback, test the RLZ, and I need a reversal signal, which came right here. If I was watching, that's probably something I'll be watching. At this point, good luck. Looks really nice. It's kind of headed in the right direction. It's doing good things. And that's Orchid, right? OXT. I heard good things about that one. Opinions about ADA. Yeah, ADA is super, super expensive. Oh, B21 listed on PancakeSwap, by the way. I know I talked about that last week. They finally did it. So BB21 on PancakeSwap. I've got a bag. That's another conversation for another day, perhaps, about crypto cards. FTX just launched a crypto card. And if that thing takes off, I think we could get like a crypto card narrative like there was in 2017 where they all just did well. So 42 billion market cap is high because, and I don't know, Alan, you're more into the dev side of the world. Like, what do you think about ADA? Like,
okay, so I preface anything I'm about to say is that I haven't looked into it incredibly carefully,
okay.
but it feels to me like this bull runs XRP.
Oh, interesting take. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we've had it on the show before. We've talked about it. None of us really hold it. I'm not a hater for the sake of hating. I never, it was like kind of already a multi-billion-dollar thing. And when I did finally hear about it, it was somebody telling me that there's nothing built on it. So I just kind of never looked past that. And if there isn't, I don't know anything that runs on it. Like, it's never like, oh, here's a hot project. Like, even Neo has Flamingo Finance that came out and got some nice bids. And it's like, oh, somebody's using Neo. I don't know of one thing. Like, somebody in the chat now, we're going to ask the audience, can you guys name a project that's running on ADA or even building on it? Because I could be way off. And my little thesis here was I wanted to short it. Now, not like blindly come in here, but if this is all a big pump leading up to the inevitable, like some launch that they have where like a mainnet, everyone's kind of joking like, when mainnet? Because it's been like 2 years. But if that was to come, maybe it's here, whatever. And I think it's overvalued. And then that mainnet comes. People like to say like, oh, when the mainnet goes live, this is going to have so much demand. But what we do, exactly, because what we do is we drive it up way above any demand that could ever, sustain it. So we speculate into those events, usually well beyond what demand exists. And so the sell the news on the mainnet is actually a big trade that I want to keep an eye on and that's the kind of trade I love, right? When you get like an event driver. So I don't know. Maybe somebody in the chat can help. Literally nothing on ADA. Yeah. Definitely a coin fueled by speculation, says James Martinez.
If you own ADA and you've owned ADA for a while, I think like that's sick for you and you should take that win all day long. It would make me super nervous to buy into it now. The market cap is ignorant.
It's just too overvalued for what I see as inherent value. So yeah, like fuck that. On an investment level, never. But on a trade level, when I see that, I don't want to just look away and say, oh no, on to the next. I'm actually like, okay, fuck it. What's the event that this is pumping for? There's got to be something. Somebody here, surely somebody knows something. Cause yeah, like Grant Leon says, short squeeze could come. And I totally agree. Like, I'm not rushing into short this. It could just do stupid things because it's already gone past where I think most people thought. And but when those highs come in, this is the setup I'm looking for. And what I'll do, and I don't know, this is all just speculation, guys. I don't know what's going to happen, but what I would do then is get out my fib and like, this is my trade, because you get something that's overvalued by most measures, number 4 ranked, market cap, nothing built on it, very speculative, cool, whatever, not hating, but it is what it is. And then it gets up to whatever value it gets to. But when it tops, which everything does eventually, and maybe that's even connected to a mainnet launch or something I can measure. Usually there's like that, and then you're like, oh shit, okay, it is going to be sell the news, but there's usually an opportunity to get into a short reload zone. And that to me could be a really nice midterm short where I could position it and hold it for a few weeks, maybe a month or two. And the sick thing is if you can capture those properly, I mean, like, and then it's like you get such a sweet trade, and we see this on markets all the time, right? And then it could be that, but this is the trade that I see on ADA. My nice big messy charts. Does that make sense, guys? I don't know. So I actually need to do some research. We've been talking about this for weeks. I've never actually gone to look up when mainnet. Is it already setting up? I don't think so. This looks pretty bullish here for continuation, but like, are we already, was that my short reload zone? I don't know. Maybe. Might have missed it. but I actually do want to. But this is telling. This is like good volume coming out of there, so I do expect new highs for ADA here soon. But hell no, I'm not investing in that. But let's go see. Oh, I don't know. This one might be hard to find. No, it was USD. Let's go see Neo, because the last time I did what I just talked about. Oh my god, dude! It was, where was it? Fuck, I don't know. Maybe oh yeah. Okay, so it's not on the chart anymore, but I have this on my Twitter. If you go way back to September, and it was like my trade of the year, and I did fuck it up a little bit. I closed it way too early, but it was this, and like zoomed in, there was all these things. There was like a old resistance, there was a fib extension, like there was so many targets here for basically saying we're done. And then if you zoom in, there was like a rising wedge in the 5 minute, and I ended up getting in so tight at like literally like a penny from the highs with size. Oh, and then it was just like I knew in my heart that I should be holding it to a reload zone. And I didn't, and it look at that. Ooh, that's the trade. So this is the kind of thing I'm looking for on ADA. And you know, I closed a lot of it here, and I even closed some here, and then I closed the rest of it like here. But whatever, it was a great trade. But
Neo was my first all-in
yeah.
altcoin in 2017.
Oh God, I hope it was before the Chinese Ethereum pump.
It was around $7 or $8. It was after it became Neo. It wasn't when it was Ant shares.
Oh God, yeah.
I want to say it's $7 or $8. I wrote it up to, I want to say 40, and I capitulated around 20.
Oh no.
Yeah, unlucky. And then it went
but
up to.
You get out with a couple X, but
something.
Oh God, and then
Yeah.
I remember because I wasn't involved, but then because of it, when gas went live, actually I should thank Neo, because I missed it here, and then it went insane. Chinese Ethereum, woohoo!
Yeah.
But right around here, gas launched, and it was only trading on Binance, and it was like the thing that powers Neo, right? And so I saw this pump, and I saw gas launch. I was like, oh, gas is going to moon, and we can go look at it. I actually don't remember what it did, but I went to go.
In hindsight, was gas the first like yield coin?
Ooh, yeah, like, really, because you take your Neo and stake it, and you get rewarded in gas. Well, look what gas did when it came out. So when it came out, I went and bought some, and I remember this trade because it was the reason I signed up to Binance. And then I saw BNB, and I was like, fuck, this is a coin that gets me fees saved by holding it. It was the first exchange token ever, at least that I can think of. I mean, definitely the first model. And I remember looking at it and just being like, damn, like BNB is going to be huge, because it's a coin that has real utility right now, right? Every trader's bottom line is profit, and this thing just is a de facto money saver. So I owe gas and Neo for getting me in on BNB fairly early.
I wonder if it was like the first yield farm, looking back on it now. Probably not, but it's
kind of makes, yeah, because that was the attraction thing, right? It was like, hey, take 100 Neo, whatever, stick them into your wallet, and you just start to like generate gas.
Yeah, and that's when you start getting people's calculations. Like, all right, if I have 150,000 Neo, I don't have to work anymore, because I'll live on gas. Like that was sort of like the first narrative, I feel like.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Well, and look what it did to price, though. It's an inflationary token, and the demand obviously on the blockchain has not caught up to overtake it. So supply is higher than demand right now. But I mean, look at this.
What is that?
Look, I know, dude. I mean, look at this chart and tell me like there's not something going on like opportunity wise. Like, I don't know. I was looking at this the other week, and gas. Ooh, I mean, look, you need gas to operate on Neo, but what is running on Neo? Where's the demand for that right now? Clearly, the supply outweighs the demand. That's why chart sucks. But what just happened? Did we just pivot? Did something come up on Neo? Is something coming up? We're sitting in the pump chaser zone after a high volume pump. Ugh, I've charted this 3 times in the last couple of weeks through this, and I keep telling myself during the stream, like, pay attention to gas. And a couple of weeks ago, I was speculating that like gas tokens were going to do well. I mean, T-Fuel went insane. This is another gas token for Theta, but you know, keep in mind that Theta did really well. So maybe we should be looking at Neo and say, is gas going to echo that? if Neo breaks north of this consolidation, like it kind of just did, you kind of have like a bullish market structure breakout retest, some nice volume to stamp it. And if that breaks to the highs, my guess is gas would follow. And so the question, I guess, then is, well, which one to trade or both, or I don't know. But if I look at Neo, I say this chart just looks insanely bullish. From like a, wow, what a 2-year bottom. Can we get into some chaos levels this year after this like long bottom formation? Probably. And then I got to say, okay, well then what can gas do versus USD? And that's the thing. It doesn't have a USD chart too many places. Let's see if we can find a good one. Nah, fuck it. We'll just do it on Binance with the calculator. Okay, so it's already kind of coming up. I don't know. I'm bullish on these. I think they're going to do well, but as is the case, always, what's the fastest horse? Is this the best trade I can find? I don't know.
I think the thing you have to be careful of with Neo or gas is you have very long-term bag holders who are going to be anxious to get anything out of it. And so that would make me nervous. Some of the like newer projects, like you were talking about Solana being one of them, or any of the SAM tokens you could use in this example, you don't have the 2017, 2018, 2019 history
Yeah.
where you have
Well, you have resistances, right? You have
right.
these resistance levels to look at versus like price discovery, which is so much sexier. I agree. And that's a really good point. So, and that's where I kind of trailed off at the end there, where I'm like, well, these charts look good, but so does most of crypto in many ways. Like on a more altcoin level, these charts are so bottomed out and they're breaking out. For me, it's like, well, how do you whittle down your 6,000 coins? And usually I do it with volume. Even ADA gave us a really good opportunity before it went crazy this year. And I was looking at it. I didn't trade it, but I remember charting it. And it was this little SR flip right here. Right. So this is kind of what I'm looking for when you have elongated bottom and then you have a breakout confirmed bullish market structure on volume. And then you're just sitting there. And that was 4 weeks it sat here. And that's why I kind of like lost interest. I did pick some of it at one point and then I sold it. And then it just, I didn't know it was going to go this far, this fast. But this is the setup to me. So I don't know if I see that on Neo and gas. But you want to see volume pouring into a pair that just made bullish market structure and is now kind of chilling. Because eventually the sells there will get dried up and it'll just explode. And then, we're kind of in this market where I don't think sellers are rushing in as fast. Like whales, whoever, like they're kind of taking the lid off this shit and they're letting it run. And God knows what their plan is around when they're going to put a top on this thing. But, for now, ADA new highs on the latest high. So it's probably got some more room, but okay, guys, let's check back at the chat. We've had such a
Good
pleasure
question.
having you on here. What questions do you see?
Yeah, there's a good one, and thanks for having me, by the way. There's one about sushi that I think is interesting, and I have a quick thought about sushi. There are sushi, Ave, like Uni. Those are really interesting to me because they're some of the first tokens that I think you can apply a traditional like VC evaluation to, because there's revenue behind it, right? So it's kind of like um, uh, almost like a company in a way, a decentralized company. And so you can say, all right, what are the fees that are being generated by Sushi or Aave or Uni, and at what multiple should this be trading? And DeFi is super hot. You have every reason to be excited about, in my mind, again, I'm showing my bias here, but Sushi being sort of involved with Solana and maybe making DeFi a little bit more accessible. And so if Sushi does that and Uni doesn't, is that a differentiator? But you can put a multiplier on it, whereas we haven't really been able to do that in crypto in the past.
Yeah, you know what you're describing? There's a website that Messiah told me about. He's told everybody about here on the stream, but it was what's it called? Maybe somebody watching knows before I find it in my thing, but it was like token something. Fuck, I suck. I can't think of it on the
What
spot.
did it do? Describe what it did.
Okay, yeah. It was a site that basically gave you data on like DeFi protocols, like a price to value ratio or like cash flow. And it was like an token terminal. There you go. Here we go. I got it. I'm going to pull it up. Is this kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is new for crypto, unless I've been in the dark for the last several years. Maybe that's possible. But this is, in my mind, the first time that we're able to realistically apply traditional finance multiples or evaluations of assets to something related to crypto.
Yeah, no, totally. And that's, token terminal. Thanks, guys. And Nansen's another good one that I really should get into. I keep hearing about good names, and I bet these are things that when I finally sign up and actually apply it into my analysis, that I'll be like, holy shit, where has this been my whole life? But I know a lot of guys over at TRI who are fired up about token terminal because they're like big on FA and, price to book earnings and all that stuff. And now you have some of that, right?
Oh, look at that. Sushi's 11x when the DeFi average is almost 100x.
Yeah, that's an interesting point you make. Ave's 44.
What's Uni?
Uni, aside from the chart, I should talk about Uni. The chart looked bearish recently. It was not too high on Uni lately. 29. So they're coming off a bit because for a while they were up in the hundreds, like 100.
To me, that makes Sushi look undervalued.
Yes, and that was sort of the takeaway from Messiah as well, that he was kind of like, okay, I'm going to look at this. If Aave and all these things are doing great, but they're like 100x their actual cash flow, they're overvalued perhaps, or better yet, this one is only 4 or 11 is undervalued. Let's look at Rook. We do have to wrap here in a minute, guys, but I want to just check, is Rook even on here?
It's probably Keeper DAO.
Keeper. I was just going to say it's not an R, it's a Keeper DAO. Yeah. Okay. So 2. It's down to 2. So is that undervalued? How's that go?
Can you get a chart on this? Does it show you over time or no?
Daily average price to sales ratio. Yeah. So it was really high.
Back to time frame up if you can or no.
Yeah. What is
it? Because Keeper's been absolutely trashed lately.
So let me show you guys that, because I actually have a theory on Keeper and why I'm actually suddenly maybe gonna buy back. I'm not in a rush to get into the consolidation, but if it breaks out, ooh. I love the story that I'm about to tell, and I hope you guys do too. This thing's not too functional right now. I don't know how to fix that, but let me tell you something. This is hilarious. I was putting this chart in our Discord, which is free, by the way. We should probably plug the Trading Pit Discord or the Hxro Labs Discord, guys, because we just opened it up. It's kind of a soft launch. So if you're watching today, you can know about it. I don't think it's even in our description yet because I haven't updated that yet. But let's just say, God, you know what? Why don't we put the link in the chat? So it'll be just for the people in the chat while I'm here. We will add it to our description soon. Let me just get an invite link. Invite people, copy. Okay, so if you guys did want to come in here, like I have a little chart stream channel. There's some good chats, yield farming, non-GGen trading, NFT trading, the Hangout. Lots of activity in there. So if you guys are interested, it's free, and just come hang out. It's a community. It's a lot of traders. Messiah's in there. I'm in there. And I'm trying to be more active. As of right now, I've still got to get in the habit of remembering to post some stuff there. But anyways, soft launch was last week. So let us know what you think of it, and we can add more shit, and then we're going to open it up big time. So this is the chart I put out on Rook. I sold the last of my Rook. I was late and then early exiting. Like I don't know. I loaded up some 3s, sold some 6s, but I eventually just sold all here because I was like, fuck it. This looks tired. Again, what I always talk about, you want highest volumes on the latest highs, and this volume was not as high as that. So that was enough for me to take profit on this one and just let it sit. I don't care about any one protocol more than another. So I take my profit and, cool. Oh, it dumped. I was right, but whatever. What I'm interested now in, and I draw up this reload zone. I say, okay, well, I'll be interested when it gets down there. And then I made this as a joke because, I was like, I'll buy Rook when it's dead. Because down here is the last time on Twitter that I was really excited about it. And I was tweeting, we talked about it on stream. Somebody reminded me. $70, I think it was. And it was like, but Rook's dead. And that was the time to load up. And as part of my 1-inch wallet farming, I did. I I farmed a bunch of 1-inch wallets, thank God, because it ended up working out. But I put like one Rook into each one. And so, fucking A. And now it's like Rook is dead. And I did this as a meme. And then Messiah the other day, he tweeted out somebody's comment from like the chat. And it was this big long paragraph about like, basically, let's be real, this thing's dead. And it was like right as price hit this. And I just thought that was hilarious because it's like, it's uncanny how these markets work, how repetitive they are. And this is human psychology on paper, if you will. It's just an illustration of humans, and they don't change. We evolve slowly. Human behavior in the last 10, 20 years, cycle, months, like it doesn't change. We get manic, we get mania, we buy, we get like depressed, we sell. And it just fucking blows my mind that yes, it came to the reload zone. And yes, as soon as it arrived there, people started declaring it dead. It's just magic, guys. And if you can stay on this journey with us and learn this shit, it doesn't mean it's easy, but man, is it fascinating. And then you can start to train yourself to not run in when everyone's suddenly like fanboying this thing. They weren't back here, but they were up here. That was a bad sign. Then you get the breakdown of market structure, and that was my signal to get the fuck out. And soon there will be a signal to get in. I think right now we need time on this. There's a lot of broken hearts. There's a lot of heavy bags. I think we need to give it some time. I illustrated that here. I don't know how long it'll be. That's May. Maybe it's just a week. Maybe it's a month. Maybe it's a day. But once we get signals of a reversal, whatever that's going to look like, that should be like brighter. Once we get signals of a reversal, we'll see it. And there will be, whatever. And there'll be some volume. And it'll be like, okay, buyers are back. And I'm going to get some Rook because I still believe it's got lots of potential. But I don't know. Really good illustration of human psychology. I couldn't believe like to the day of when it tagged this and the guy's like, Rook is dead. I was like, yes, count it. But anyways, guys, I love having you here in the chat. We've got a really nice crowd in here today. If you haven't already and you like what we're doing here and you appreciate some of the content that we're putting out with Hxro Labs, it's all free. All I ask is you let us know in the comments, hit us with a like. And if you haven't yet and you sub to this channel, you'll get notified and all that cool shit. Because, I'm going to be talking a lot about BitClout. So if you're here from that channel and you're like, what the hell? We didn't talk about BitClout. This has such incredible, cool, fun potential. I think we'll be talking about this a lot. This is obviously just the BitClout Pulse page. But yeah, I think, we're going to be covering that a lot. Dow made new all-time highs today. Alan, God, I have so many things I want to talk about, but we do have to wrap here. We are getting up into the 2-hour mark, fellas. Anything else you want to say? Final thoughts, Alan, after your time on the show today? I should just plug Yop real quick because this chart just looks ready to fuck. This is one I've been watching. I have invested in it. I have a bag. Full disclosure. I think that this thing just looks good. And if you want to think about, themes, DAOmaker just made an all-time high today. They announced that they're going to actually allow some of their holders to have access to seed and private sale rounds, not just public sale IDOs, but private and seed. That's such a cool idea. They're mooning. This is a DeFi launchpad aggregator, among other things. So maybe it's going to catch some wind. I don't know. But the buyers are starting to creep in. So I got a bag. I'm watching. I'm actually staking my bag.
There you go.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't already and you want, if you're on Twitter and you haven't already, I want you to take a look over here in the chat. Alan Stack, that is who's on our show today. Great guy, super smart, well-connected in the space, and, somebody who I just love getting a chance to chat with. So I'm so glad you came on today. Let's flip back to Cam's, maybe in the studio. We're going to get fancy. I don't know how we're. Okay. Yeah. We don't have a double shot for the studio.
Oh, you're good. I appreciate you having me on. And I respond to every single DM I get. So if you have a question, hit me up there. Trying to grow out the Twitter a little bit. Time to be, grown up. Got to contribute somewhere.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I appreciate that. And I'm assuming that the audio is good to go here. Okay. Producer plugged you in. Nice. I'm assuming the audio is good to go. Did you guys hear all that? Basically, what Alan just told us is that his DMs are open. You can hit him up if you have questions. I mean, he's a very experienced guy in the space. He works at Stacked Invest. If you're thinking about signing up there, I mean, this was not meant to plug that site other than to say that I'm going to be, I have an account and I like it. It's free for the part I want to use. Anyways,
I'm glad we got to talk some markets too. That was fun.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we got to chat markets. I'm always nervous if we come on and we have a guest and we just talk about one thing, and then I like doing charts, so it was great. Follow us on Twitter at real. I'm sorry, I'm flustered right now. Follow us on Twitter at Real Hero Labs. You can follow myself at Random Task 555. I've just posted Alan's Twitter in the chat, but I realized we're also streaming on a few other things, so I'll just go post it in the YouTube description after the show.
What a guy! What a pal.
It's Friday. It's Friday afternoon, so it's a beautiful day out. I'm gonna go get a little sunlight. I suggest you guys do the same if you can. And Merv says thank you for the response about sushi. And he said that to you, so that's great. What is his BitClout price? What do you think about?
I have no idea. I've never looked at it. I don't even think.
Okay.
I mean, you have to be submitted. I don't even know how you get on there.
Yeah, you need a password link right now, so it's kind of weirdly in like a private beta launch.
But you can put yourself up, meaning like your account.
It's basically Twitter. I screwed up. I screwed up because I wanted to be the random task. I would like that on Twitter, but I added 555 because some guy who's never even been on Twitter in like a year or two has that handle, and I couldn't DM him. I was gonna oh fuck it, I'll buy it off him. I can't get it.
There's a way to do that. After they don't tweet a certain period of time, Google it. You can request the handle from Twitter.
Really?
Yeah. It may be a long time. You said 2 years. I think it might be more like 5. But
okay, that's actually really cool because I have another handle I want that they are literally not active since like 2011, and they're holding on to our handle. So, okay, more alpha from Alan today, guys. You can actually claim really old Twitter accounts from Twitter directly if nobody uses it.
Hopefully, no, it takes years before you do.
Yeah. Anyways, like long story short, I screwed up because I signed up on BitClout. I made my profile, which is essentially Twitter, but I made it random task, thinking that's cooler, and I wanted that one. But then everyone's like coming from Twitter. They're like, is that yours? Because you're Random Task 555. And I'm like,
yeah.
So I went out and actually seeded a wallet for Random Task 555. And then on the profile, I just wrote, go to Random Task. Anyways, long story short, guys, it's not a scam account. It's really me. You can hit me up on there and follow me. I'm not telling you to buy my coin. I don't know what the hell's going on with that. I actually don't like the pressure of that. But hey, we're going to keep doing content here. And if the legend grows, we got 1,000 new subs in the last month, which is incredible. And I'm not going anywhere. So I appreciate you guys' time today. And I'm glad we had Alan on here to talk about algos and indexes and charts and coins. And you guys, I am very excited, Linus. You can always just tell, right? I got the energy today. It's Friday, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for coming by. And always play from a position of strength. Till next time.